Hey there, everybody. I don't know who all we got watching so far, but we've got 3 people. So my apologies for not getting anything out for basically a month. Oh, I look all blurry on my screen. Hopefully it looks good on your guys' end. Let me minimize this and take a look. Derek, Megan Pettit. Hey, how are you doing? There, now it doesn't look blurry on my end. He says I'm clear. Yeah, it has been. I think I'm a divorce and a dead dog away from the next country music hit with everything that's been going on. So that's why I haven't put anything up. I haven't even had time to edit much. I'm working on a video currently. If everything goes well, I'm going to try to have it out maybe tomorrow or Tuesday. We'll see. David Fisher, how are you doing? Justin Heil, how are you? Yeah, I'll give you guys a brief rundown of everything that's transpired. Basement flooded again, twice. So that's fun. And those that are new to the channel or fairly new, back when I first started this whole YouTube venture, our basement flooded, and it flooded to the point they had to come in and cut all the sheetrock off 2 feet above the floor and rip the door frames out and cabinetry and carpet. Well, this time it was just rainwater, and so it just got the carpet wet. But I got it basically all dried out, got everything dried out, and then we got 4 inches of rain and it flooded it again. So since then, I've fixed the problem. We got about 3.5 or 4 inches of rain the other day, and no wet basement. So hopefully that's rectified. Oh, and then dishwasher decided it was going to, well, let me back up. We replaced our refrigerator because my wife wanted a new one and our ice maker didn't work. So put a new refrigerator in. 2 days later, the dishwasher decided to leak everywhere on the floor. So I had to rip that out and put a new dishwasher in. And today I've been, I don't know if you can see paint on my fingers, but been painting. So who knew that installing a refrigerator and dishwasher meant that you had to repaint your kitchen? So there's that. Jehu, how are you doing? Dalton Feeks, how are you? Smedco, how are you doing? Smedco. That's never fun. It is never fun. Smedco, oof, at least it wasn't poo water, I guess. It wasn't poo water this time, so there's that. Jehu asks, is it coming in from cracks or foundation? So in our basement, we have 2 window wells for egress. One of them is in my little YouTube studio. And we've got an in-ground pool behind the house that I'm working on getting that tore out because the pool is a pain in the butt. But anyway, there was a concrete slab next to the foundation that had the pool pump and filter on it. And it had evidently eroded underneath that pad a little bit. And that pad was sloped back towards the foundation right next to one of the window wells. So all of the rain that was coming into that area was just running right into a window well and straight into the basement. So I dug that all up, dumped some Quikrete in around everything, packed a bunch of clay in, and then put sod on top of it. So now it's all sloped away from the house. No more pool pump and filter or concrete slab. So that problem is fixed. But I've also been fencing our backyard in between, when I can, when it's not 9,000 degrees outside. So I've kind of been working on that project off and on too, but it is what it is. Jehu says, oh, yes, you open a can of worms every time the wife asks you to do something simple. And it really is that way. And my wife's like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and whatever it is, Oh, one of the projects she wanted to change the color of the grout in our shower. And so she bought grout stain and started staining the grout, and it wasn't working out very well. And I figured out the reason why is because the people we bought this house from, before we bought it, they smeared some caulk over the grout. Same color as the grout that was in it, but evidently it had been leaking a little bit. So yeah, that was another project that I got to undertake. So she goes in and she's like, "Hey, this grout stain's not sticking. What's going on?" So I go in and look at it, start fiddling with it, and the grout starts popping out. Well, so I pop a little bit of grout out, and then some tiles start falling off the wall. I'm like, so now I had to rip our shower out, the bottom third, and replace the concrete backer board and put the tile back in just because she wanted to change the color of the grout. So I told her, I said, "You are no longer allowed to get anywhere near Pinterest at all, period." Because I honestly think Pinterest was designed by someone that hates their husband. So it's always that way. It is what it is, though. Gary Johnson, how are you doing? Haven't heard from you in a while. I hope you're doing well. Boz says plenty of rain in China at the moment. Jay Hu did a series of foundation repair videos, high pressure polyurethane grout injection. If concrete does not hold, check it out. I will do that. Thanks for the heads up on that. Fishfine 3000, how are you doing? So I honestly, today was the first day that I had come down into the YouTube studio and logged on to YouTube, and probably, well, since the last live stream. I've come down and done some stuff with video editing, but I haven't actually logged on to YouTube since the last live stream, and that I think was a month ago. Well, I log on to YouTube and find out that I had a copyright infringement. Someone in China had taken one of my videos, the hydraulic cylinder repair video that I did a year and a half ago, and downloaded the video in its entirety and then uploaded it on their channel as their own. So had to squash that one. Jacques French says, "Hey, brother from California, new to the channel, learned a lot of little things on picking and swinging. Keep the videos coming." Well, welcome to the channel. Tyler Greenhill, how are you doing? Mag Altoma says, "Hi, Jimmy from Iraq. Hi from Missouri." Katra, how are you doing? So step one for getting into crane ops. Need a new career because of COVID. I'll come back to that in just a second. Lachlan Granner, how are you doing? For those that aren't aware, Lachlan runs the Facebook page, Cranes Are Awesome. So to anybody that's new to the channel that hasn't been over to Cranes Are Awesome on Facebook, you need to go over there and join Cranes Are Awesome, because there's some great pictures and whatnot on there. And Lachlan, I apologize for not being very busy on the channel. Lachlan made me a moderator quite a while back, and I haven't had a chance to mess with it a lot. So Lachlan, I apologize for that. Derek says, "What the heck? That's crazy. They're trying to take over." Jay Hu says, "Pirated YouTube videos. How can we protect from that?" You can put watermarks on your videos, I guess, but YouTube will also notify you if someone's starting to take some of your footage. So I got to get back up here to where's that question at? Who asked that? Katra says, "Step one for getting into crane ops. Need a new career because of COVID." You could join your local apprenticeship for International Union of Operating Engineers. That would be a good step. Or you can get hired on to like a crane rental company or taxi crane service and try to get in with them as a rigger, or get a CDL and go in as a truck driver. That would be my advice on that. Get as much experience as you can before you start jumping in the seat. Trady Glam, how are you doing? Trady Glam says, "How do you add me? I'm out operating." Not sure I understand that, but David Rigoni, how are you doing? Pork Chop, glad to see you're still around. Missed the videos. Hope you post some soon. And Pork Chop is the one that prompted me to throw a message up on the community tab last night. He sent me a message on one of the videos, or a comment, and he said, "Hey, are you still doing videos?" And I am. I just haven't been recently. So Pork Chop says, "Glad to see you're still." Okay, CH Little Wood Shop. Hey, Jimmy, how are you doing, CH? Oh, Trady Glam. I don't know how to add you as far as going live with me on here because I'm using a program on. It's actually Logitech. Logitech Capture is the program I'm using. I'd have to probably stop the live stream and go into a different program to have a guest on. So, but we will do that. Let's do that in a couple of weeks, preferably on a day that you're not in the Frana. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventures. How are you doing, Alex? Shock says, do endless loops have a so-called shelf life? All rigging kind of does. If you protect it from being out in the sun and you protect it from chemicals and you take care of it, then really it should last indefinitely. Jehu says, okay, everyone, please smash the like button. Thanks for that, Jehu. Barry Hansen, how are you? Says, what's with all the tower cranes falling out of the sky lately? I don't know. I haven't read any. I've seen some of the headlines, but I haven't read any of the details on them. So I can't give an opinion one way or another on what's going on with them. I know AVE did a video about it, and I haven't even watched his video, but I don't know. I don't know with the whole tower crane failure thing, but I don't operate tower cranes for a reason. Isaac Hillstrom says, Jimmy, are you on Snapchat? I am not. On Facebook, Instagram, barely on Twitter and Reddit. Smedco says, work has been anything but steady, either feast or famine. To figure that was what you might have been up against video-wise. We have been busy. At least I have been busy. We've done a lot of painting, cleaning equipment up. We took the jib off our 100-ton, painted it. We've painted trailers. We've painted blocks. We've painted wheels. Painted the boom dolly for the 200. If we hit another slow spell, if this thing winds up again and we hit another slow spell, then we're going to start doing some touch-up painting on the 180G. I want to paint the counterweights red, white, and blue, but I don't know if our owner's going to go for it, but we'll see. Yeah, it's been pretty busy. And then also we got another new little toy. So I don't know if you guys can see that. We got a GoPro Hero 8, and I was kind of forced into that because evidently the 40-foot fall into the bottom of the rail car wasn't as kind to the Hero 5 as I thought, because it's only recording audio about half the time now. And I didn't realize that until I recorded 3 or 4 jobs. And then I bring the footage home, throw it on my computer, and try to work with it, and there's no audio there. So I still don't know what I'm going to do with that. I may try to edit it into a video and just do a voiceover or something. But to me, I don't feel voiceover adds as much to it as like if I'm doing commentary right when we're doing the work. So I don't know. We'll see. Jehu says lots of bridge getting widened here in Illinois. And I've done 2 bridge jobs in the last 2 weeks. Actually, 3 bridge jobs in the last 15 days, I think. One of them, they wouldn't let me record on it. And it's one that it's a contractor that I've recorded on their job sites in the past. And I don't know if it's because some of the comments that I've gotten on some of those videos that they said, hey, we don't need to record this one. So I don't know. It could have been some haters screwed it up for everybody with this one contractor, but who knows? But anyway, we go out to do this bridge job, and it's a small bridge. The contractor it's the one that's got the old American friction rig. If you go back 2 years ago in footage and find where I was tandem picking with an American crane, same contractor. So we go out to do this bridge job. They bring 100-foot beams in without steerable axles under the back of it. So they were fighting all the way to the job site with 2 rotators trying to get these beams dragged into the job site. They get all the way to the job site, make a turn, and they broke a beam in half. So that was the first beam of 4. They broke it in half. And then, so we got the other 3 set. We come back a week later, set up, get ready to set the replacement beam. They brought it in with a steerable set of dollies on the back of the beam this time. Go to back it in the job site, and the beam dolly got into the bottom of the beam and broke it. So they broke the replacement for the one they broke initially. So we had to tear down, leave, came back a week later, get the crane all set up. We got 3 inches of rain that night, so they canceled it. So we had to go back and get the crane because we had another job in the interim. But it took 3 tries to set one beam because the beam carrier broke the beam twice. What a deal. Let's see. Jay, that's a good idea. It says keep the footage, speed it up, or throw some music over it. I can do that. Let's see. Isaac Hillstrom, have you ever painted AT rims? Do you have a good way of getting that done? Isaac, I just painted the wheels on our 200 and our 100-ton. I use a paint gun. That's the best way to get that done. I mask off the tire and pull the lug caps off and just paint it with a paint gun right there on the hub. Paint over the lug nuts and everything. So someday when we have to take those wheels off, it's going to be a nightmare, but they look good. Smedco or something a touch more subtle. One of our guys painted his counterweights Tadano carrier gray. Looks sharp. I may do that. That's not a bad idea. Because our Tadano was specifically ordered for, I think we bought it from Superior Crane out of Canada, and they ordered it in an all-white paint scheme. And, I mean, well, there's gray on the carrier, but everything above the carrier is all white. And typically Tadano, I don't know, you probably can't see it back there, but typically they've got blue and white. But Woofy W, how are you doing? Try to get caught up on some comments here. Warp 65 or how are you? Says doesn't GoPro have a warranty if they can't repair it? They send you a new one. Only if you subscribe to their GoPro. I forgot what it's called. I think it's like $50 a year. I may have to subscribe to that. It sounds like. Derek says, "Wow, we're running bad luck when it rains, it pours." True story. Drew Bradley, how are you? Says, "Hey, live show. Hello, everybody. Hope all is doing well." Nathaniel Lee, I have not done anything at all with the hammer. I've been swamped with everything else. Drew Bradley brings up a good point. Says, "Welcome to the show. If you are new to the show, please be kind to one another. Remember to hit the like button." Smedco is going to send me a pic. Woofy W. The musical, that might work. I'm doing good. Let's see. Alex Williamson says, "Well, the only thing I think you'd be excited about that I've seen lately is an Elliott crane doing some tree work." Tree work is not my favorite thing to do. Jehu, I had to do the same thing. He says, "I show my boss any questionable video I shoot at work before I post. Works out because he trusts what I put up now." And my boss was the same way. He wanted to see what I was doing initially, and then now he's like, whatever. The Mech Fixer, ever work in a nuke plant? I have not worked in a nuke plant. Went on a field trip in one when I was in high school, but I haven't worked in one. We've got one, I don't know, 60 miles away. Well, I guess I can't say that I haven't worked inside of one. Back in the day when I was an oiler for a company, we had Grove 5240 set up on the property of the nuke plant, putting together, what were we building? I don't remember what we were building. I think we were putting together a 2250. Jason Heltzley says, "Good evening, Jimmy. Hope all is well. Who hit the thumbs down should be hitting the thumbs up." It is what it is. and there's a fly flying around here, and it's driving me crazy. I can see him. I don't know if I can get him. Oh, yeah, we got him. Tyler Greenhill, our owner, was looking at buying a GMK 6300, but afraid of what COVID is going to do to the work next year. You know, really, if I don't know, I say buy it. Our ATF 180 has been busy. There's still going to be projects that have to be undertaken, even with COVID. Cranes and construction are pretty essential. So, you know, I say go for it. If I had the need for a crane right now, I wouldn't hesitate buying it because of COVID. So I don't know what market you're in. I don't know what location you're in, but you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Let's see. Drew Bradley, you ever see the video of the turbine spool where the sling snapped and several ton turbine rotor dropped? Scary stuff. That would be no good. I have not seen that video, I don't believe. John Warren, how are you doing? So I don't really have anything in particular, set to talk about. I just hadn't been on in a while. I haven't posted anything for a while. I wanted to let you all know that I was still alive and around. And Jehu smacked the fly, accidentally killed the live stream. Now I've got a light right up here in front of me, and you can probably see it reflecting off my hand there, but that fly landed right on top of it, and I gave him the old flick, so he hasn't come back in. Derek makes a good point, says COVID-19 would have to adapt to it because it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon, unfortunately. Yeah, and it's a terrible thing that's going on. It's really hard to get a read on it, but like I said, I wouldn't hold back buying a crane just because of COVID. If you've got the use for one, I would go for it. Drew Bradley asked, how deep underwater can your crane tread through? I don't know. There's a video of a Tadano 180G that is fording a river, and it's pretty deep. I would say it's at least up to the center of the hubs, maybe just a little bit higher. So that would be a couple feet of water anyway, and that water was moving. Isaac Hillstrom, if you went into business for yourself today and money was no issue, what crane would you buy to start off? I would unequivocally, without hesitation or reservation, call Tadano America and put an order in for an ATF 220. It's a 250-ton, 6-section boom. Actually, I've got all the specs right. Where's it at? Right here. 223 feet of main, 118 feet of jib, 250-ton capacity, and it's still on a 5-axle carrier. So hopefully that answers your question. I mean, that I've often contemplated buying one, but I don't know that I'm ready to take a bite out of a $2.5 million machine at this point. Maybe in a few years, we'll see how things go, but I could probably put some investors together and make something happen. But my go-to for our market would be the ATF 220. Trady Glam says, this is cool listening while I'm on my way to the next job. Check your phone for pics you can show everyone. All right. So this is what I'm going to cover your name up on top, though, because it's actually, I'll just download the picture. How about that? Save. Now we can we should be able to. Where's that? We should be able to show everybody without everybody seeing Trady Glam's real name. I don't know if that's an issue for her or not, but I'm not going to divulge it. So, anyway, that's what Trady Glam's playing in today. Come on, focus. Right there. I had it for a second. Oh, last time I did this, my camera went haywire, so we got to try to keep that from happening. And there's another picture of it. So those are pretty popular down in Australia. Not so much here in the States. It's an articulated crane with a boom over the front. All right, looks like I got to get caught up here again. Tyler Greenhill says we work mostly in Lexington, Kentucky, and Cincinnati, Ohio, but he's building a new shop and doesn't want to be out that much money all at once. I could see that. And I mean, if he's running a successful business, he knows what's best for his business. I don't think I would hold up. If COVID was the only thing holding him back, I don't think I would hold back just because of that. Alex said he wanted to get a video of the Elliot taking a tree down, but his mom was working at the time. Jehu Fly went to get his boys. Bob Kemp, how are you doing? Says, hi, Jimmy. How far do you travel max distance? We will go as far as someone is willing to pay us to travel. We're located an hour north of Kansas City, and I've been up into Omaha. I've been almost to Hannibal, like the eastern half of the state. If you pull up maps or Google and you look up Marceline, Missouri, I've been 25 or 30 miles north of Marceline, but we'll go about anywhere. Smedco says, really, I think the ATF 100 is more versatile. They fit anywhere. Rotable can cover most crane work. I don't disagree to that, Smedco, but and the ATF 100 is a great machine. But I can always take a bigger crane and rent it out as a smaller machine. But I can't take a smaller machine and rent it out as a bigger machine. Granted, getting it into places and stuff might be more difficult, but the extra reach of 220 feet of main is pretty significant. But yeah, an ATF 100 would be, or a 60-3 would be a good one. Nathaniel Lee, does the company you work for on a Terex crane? I'm trying to think what our stand-up boom truck is. It's not a Terex. It's an old JLG. Shane Davis, that's a good question. It says, you're ever worried your outrigger pads aren't big enough? I've sunk them in the ground before, 2 or 3, 4 inches. Actually, I was on a house job one time and they backfilled the front yard loosely with black dirt. And I buried one in the ground about 7 inches. But, our outrigger pads are sized for that machine. So, I don't know. It all depends on the soil you're on. Sinking outrigger is always a concern, though. Jacques said, had an interesting job last week. Picked a turret off a 1970 British Chieftain tank. My scale read 35,000. I know that is lightweight for you. Still get nervous lifting and swinging. That would be a cool job. And it don't think just because 35,000 is light for me. It's all relative to the size of the crane. So, if you're in a 50-ton crane and picking 35,000, you're doing something significant. If you're in a 4-ton crane and you're picking 6,000, you're doing something significant. It's not hey, you run a 200-ton crane, so 35,000 is nothing for you. I also run our 50-ton boom trucks and our 17-ton boom truck and our 4-ton Broderson, and so I tell everybody a crane is a crane is a crane. There's no less responsibility in any one of them. When you get into the Brodies and stuff, there's still a lot of responsibility that's just easier to manage it because it's a smaller scale. But Mitzvah Golem, how are you doing? G4 Outdoors, how are you doing, Randy? West Coast Kenny, how are you doing, West Coast Kenny? David Riconi, well, theoretically, somewhat, since Tadano bought Terex. There's that. Drew Bradley, the upper does show the outrigger forces inside the cab. Mitzvah Golem says Liebherr has outriggers. Yeah, PSI on load on Mini. Nathaniel Lee, have you ever run the big crane on a wind turbine? I have not. I haven't run a top out rig on a wind farm. I've run a tailing rig a few times, but I haven't run like a LR 1600 or Manitowoc 16,000 or 18,000. I guess it's, what is it, 19,000. But there is a YouTube channel that he's got some footage of some big rigs, and Tristram Mays, he's over in Europe. He's got a YouTube channel with, I don't know, 1,200 subscribers, I think, and he's got some great footage. He should have more subscribers than what he's got. Let's look him up. $1,180 subscribers, and he's got a video of a Liebherr LR 1600. Come on. It's not going to focus. Well, anyway, you can kind of see the outline of it. Let's see. Dr. France, I forgot to mention I work a 40-ton rotator. Well, it's the 35,000. That's you got your hands full with a 40-ton rotator. Construction cronies, how are you doing? Says Jimmy Bro. Smedco, wind farms are a pain. You could foresee what you went out half the time, almost like they're building things in windy areas or something. And honestly, they get more done than what you would realize. G4 Outdoors asked channel name. If you're asking the channel name, it is Tristram Mays. That's the guy that's got some videos of the big stuff. Mitzvah Golem, I saw that picture of that 500-ton Liebherr go over on the farm field. Ran off in some soft ground. Laid her out on its side. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventures. If they come back in to take another tree down, shoot some footage of it. Construction Crony says, "Good day, everyone. Hope all is well. Busy out there right now. We have been pretty busy." Chris says, "Man, it's good to see you live. I haven't been on for a month. I haven't uploaded anything for a month. Everybody probably thought I was gone." Lackland brings up good points. Says there's a lot of crane action on SpaceX's facility in Boca Chica. Easy to find on YouTube. Shane Davis, Liebherr LR 1300, probably 200 to 300 feet of main. Every few days they put a luffing jib on within a few hours. Crawler cranes have their place, and I haven't been in one much. They're not a hot item in the taxi crane service. Chris said, "Beard's looking pimp, Jimmy." I actually was contemplating knocking it off there. I don't know. I've always told myself if I'm going to shave it, I'm going to give myself 24 hours before. I'm not going to just be like, hey, I'm going to shave my beard and run in there and knock it off there. I'm always going to make that decision over the course of 24 hours. So I don't know. I bought a new motorcycle helmet not too long ago. Actually, just got it yesterday, and it's a Bell Eliminator, so it's a pretty cool helmet. It's a full face helmet, and when I put it on, this much of my beard sticks out the bottom of it. Mitzvah Golem says crawler pick and carry main feature. That's a fact. Jehu got a boogie. Good to see you, Jimmy. Have a good night, everyone. Smash that like button. Thanks for stopping in, Jehu, and being part of all of it and having patience and sticking around and waiting for me. Drew Bradley, does your crane boom ever need x-rayed as part of a requirement like every other couple of years? They haven't ever done any magnafluxing or x-raying on our rig. It does get an annual inspection every year, and then we look it over regularly. And Nathaniel Lee says, no, the beard is the star of the show. Mitzvah Golem says, New York City inspection requires annual x-ray ultrasound on all load components. And that's probably not a bad habit. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad thing to do. Smedco says, I'm definitely not a crawler guy, but making a pick with next to no deflection makes you look like you really know what you're doing in the seat. That's a fact. And I guess people that watch like the videos I put up and stuff, when I pick stuff and it comes straight up off the ground, they don't understand what's required to do that. But I probably need to do an in-depth video on boom deflection and just show how much the boom does actually deflect when I'm making a pick and how I'm overcoming that. Construction cronies, mostly the crawlers we've used stay in the same place for a long time. That's typically what they do is they'll throw them in a job site, put them in one spot where they can reach everything and let them have their way with it. But, they can also pick and carry and move around pretty easily on the job site. D. McDonald, how are you doing, D. McDonald? Trady Glam just got the Frana x-rayed. You guys just had the Frana completely apart, had the boom clear out of it and all the sections out, new wear pads, new extend and retract cables. Drew Bradley, that's kind of the way things are here. It says we just look for rust at weld points or cracked paint. That'll get your attention too. Yeah, Mitzvah Golem says there's some deflection under the carriage on the lattice boom. There is that. Woofy W, the extra beard is a bug bumper. Keeps the bugs from hitting you in the throat. So I switched from a half helmet to a full face. And when I was wearing my half helmet, I had to wear a bandana around my face. Otherwise, my beard was like this going down the road. It felt terrible. I'm sure it looked worse. Smedco says, oh, come on, doesn't the Tadano lift adjuster do it all for you? I don't use lift adjuster. It's got that feature, but I don't use it. It's neat technology. I don't like the fact that it locks the throttle in one constant position. And even if you stomp on the throttle, you have to stomp, let it off, and then stomp again to get your throttle back. If the load starts taking off, I want to be able to catch it. Nigel Ashworth says I cable up half the weight and boom up the rest, and the load usually comes straight up. I've done it that way, and then also I typically just watch my radius. I just keep an eye on my radius and try to keep it right where they spotted me or right where I spotted myself. Jason Heltzley, crawlers are extremely expensive to move, and that's why they generally work on long-term jobs. That's a fact. Mobilization on a crawler is expensive. Drew Bradley, Trady Glam, do you? Oh, Drew Bradley, Trady Glam has a YouTube channel. under that name, Trady Glam. If Trady Glam is watching and wants to throw a link to her channel in comments, feel free to do so. Mitzvah Golem LMI shows change an angle down, just boom back up to angle. That's another easy way to do it. But there's a lot of people out there that don't understand that. I've seen a lot of crane operators, especially when they're just getting started, either with a boom truck or even little Brodersons have boom deflection, and they just grab a handful of cable up, and then whatever they're picking up swings 2 or 3 feet away from them, and either about breaks some guy's ankles or smashes into something or slides off the side of a truck. And so, yeah, there's that. Mitzvah says Mantis crawler telescopic cranes are awesome. Those are a neat rig. I wish we had one. I wish we had a telescopic crawler. There's Trady Glam's YouTube channel. Nathaniel Lee, how are you doing? Oh, Trady Glam's, even Franas have it. Those Franas, those are a whole different animal. That whole articulated chassis thing, I mean, that to me would get a lot of people over here in trouble. I don't think, I mean, it doesn't have outriggers on it, does it? I mean, yours doesn't. Do some of the bigger ones have outriggers on them? Or are they just strictly on rubber? Well, Isaac Hillstrom, thanks for that. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate it. Mitzvah Golem says, what's a Frana? A Terex Frana. It's an articulated crane with a boom over the front. Isaac Hillstrom mentioned Crane Crew USA on Snap. I'm not on Snapchat. I'm on Instagram, though. Trady Glam, no outriggers at all. Shane Davis, have you ever been in a situation where you knew the working load limit of your equipment and knew you could go past it? You can't technically go past the working load limit of your machine. Those load charts are the Bible when it comes to sitting in a courtroom. I can say that, say for instance, I had our 180G out on the job and I only had one counterweight on it. I was up close, whatever, and the machine was near capacity. But if I had 2 counterweights on it, I'd be able to manhandle whatever I was picking up. Technically, the crane would handle it. Now, whether would it become unstable and turn over? It could. But physically, the crane would handle it. Where people run into trouble is overloading the crane with a full stack of weights on it, or having a whole bunch of boom out and telling it it's got a full stack of weights on it, and it doesn't actually have the weights on it. So stay inside your load charts and you should be fine all day, every day. Oscar, what do you think of the STS cranes? I work at a container yard. Seeing them operate our Lee Bears 400s for hours per day needs a lot of precision. I don't have any experience with STS cranes, so I can't give you an honest answer on that. Smedco's Franas remind me of an ancient Grove industrial crane. Yeah, kind of like the old neck breakers and stuff, the old pettybones and whatnot. Isaac Hillstrom, paid endorsement. I'll find you on Instagram if you guys are on Instagram. Let's do that right now. Let me find your other comment. Crane Crew USA. Let's see if they're on here. We're going to search. Crane Crew USA. There it is. Following back. Wow, you guys have a lot of followers on Instagram. And you have some cool pictures on Instagram. That's a good one. Come on, focus. Focus. So yeah, anybody, if you're not on Crane Crew USA on Instagram, go check that out. All right, let's get caught back up here. Drew Bradley, thank you for that, Drew. Let's see. Jason Hilty says, Jimmy, have you seen Ron's new truck and lowboy rig he just put into service? I have not. I haven't been watching anything on YouTube, really. It's Oklahoma, saw in India, they have some boom hooked on the front of a JCB backhoe. Smedco, that old above versus below the bold line on the load chart. Above the line is scary stuff. Can be. That's when you really have to start trusting engineers, is when you start getting close to that line. Yeah, Mitzvah Golem says study crane accidents on YouTube to see what caused most of the accidents. And Isaac Hillstrom says we would love to feature the Tadano and tag you. I can send you some cool pictures if you want me to send them to you on that Crane Cruise USA on Instagram. I'll send you some pictures on there. But 90% of crane accidents are due to someone making a poor decision. You know, they don't just fall over because they fall over. They fall over because someone zigged when they should have zagged. So there's that. It is what it is. I'm sure there might be someone out there that's yelling at their screen telling me I'm an idiot for saying that, but you know, it is what it is. Cranes don't just go out and fall over. Victor, I'm not sure. Says, well, your company has the only crane in town, so I'm not sure if he's talking to me or someone else. We aren't the only crane rental company in town. Silent Mask, ever had a sketchy moment like load shift on you, etc.? I have had sketchy moments sitting in the crane. You're going to have some. You can't go your entire crane career without having some stuff that makes your butt pull seat springs out of the seat. Wind is one. Shifting loads are those times. Lifting lugs tearing out of tanks. There's a video on here of that. There are some times there's some things that will get your attention for sure. Robert Meyer makes a great point. You have to be vigilant about how the LMI is set up, especially when you're not the only operator running it. Don't want to get in one on half outriggers when it's set for full outriggers. That's a fact. And a lot of the newer ones, they just monitor the outrigger length, and it'll sound an alarm at you if you're set up incorrectly. But one of the biggest things that gets people is they'll tell the LMI that it has more counterweight on it than on the crane than what it actually does. So we've got a newer guy at work. He's been there a little over a year. He's been in a few of the videos. He's going to start doing some studying, and he's got some time yet before he gets in a crane. But one of the things that I am going to stress to him is setting up your computer correctly and then matching your load charts to how you have the crane configured is what will keep you out of trouble. Fishfine 3000. Weren't you going to make some more videos of shackle lifting type chain straps? Oh yeah, rigging videos. Yeah, I need to still do that. I need to clone myself about 4 times. Of course, I don't know that the world can handle that. Nathaniel Lee asked what a Brosen. Actually, it's a Broderson crane. There's smaller industrial cranes typically used inside of industrial facilities, and they're built just an hour or so away from me. They're great little machines. Yeah, Mitzvah Golem says, keep your load block above the cab or it can land in your lap if the sling breaks. Okay, D. McDonald asked a good question. He says, I think you discussed this a while back, but I was watching cranes on YouTube today. Go figure. And the lights over the cab were front and center, flashing yellow in this case. Is there a standard? So what that is letting you know that it's in pre-alarm, that it's near capacity. It's a tattletale light that lets everybody outside the crane know what's going on, what condition it's in. So green, everything's good. Typically that's below 75% of its capacity. Once you start getting above that, then it's going to go to yellow. Once it gets to red, they're at capacity or out of capacity. So there's that. Jacques French asks, LMI some kind of load management? It is a load moment indicator. It's a computer that they call it an operational aid. But what it is, it's a computer that keeps track of the boom length, the amount of counterweight you have put on it, which is, as long as you told it the correct amount of counterweight you have on. And it basically takes all the operating parameters of the crane and uses an algorithm to give you real-time capacities and boom angle, radius, all that stuff. So as you boom down and your radius increases, then your capacity naturally will lower. The LMI monitors that and gives you a real-time capacity at that particular radius. Alex Williamson, Blind Adventure. So everything else I've been up to has been video game related pretty much. And I'm going to be starting streaming with video game related stuff as soon as I get my equipment set up. That'd be cool. That the whole video game market on YouTube's kind of a tough one, though. It's a pretty saturated market. Yeah, Smedco, that's a fact. Those things were a nightmare. Says the stupid older graphic pad equipped Groves were terrible for counterweight configurations. All pictograms. Do I have a thick slab or a thin slab? Yeah. Yeah, because they had to put pictures on there because evidently we crane operators aren't educated enough to read words and numbers. I mean, come on. Kids down in the corner, how are you doing? Fish find 3,000. The rule can only handle one drifting 750i, not four. We don't even have that car anymore, but yeah. Yeah, I did potentially drift a BMW 750i X Drive around a few corners, allegedly. Victor, when you were using both hooks on a single lift, what was the deal of checking the cables on the back? So the piece that I was picking up, I might have to grab the old dry erase board for this. It might make it easier. Do you guys want to watch me draw like a kindergartner? I guess. Let me grab that. Somewhere I have a marker and an eraser because I got a bunch of crap scribbled on this. Hopefully I'm not missing a bunch of stuff. Thought I had a bigger eraser. Actually, I do. This isn't a very big eraser. But this is. I haven't used this board with these lights set up the way they are, so hopefully we don't get a bunch of glare. And I'm probably missing a bunch of comments. For that, I apologize. So, yes, when I was using both hooks on a single lift, what was the deal with checking the cables on the back? And I draw very crude. Okay, so hopefully this will make sense. Let me get it in here. So when I picked that piece up, even though I had my rooster shiv, which is an extra shiv out on the tip of the boom that sticks my auxiliary line 2 feet out past the boom tip, this piece was hanging directly underneath the tip of the boom. It has to because of gravity. It's hanging off the main. Well, this piece was wider than what my ropes were. And so my auxiliary line was actually coming down the back side like this. And the hook was hanging down here with, well, the pill. So my auxiliary line was actually touching the back side of the piece. So I didn't want to cable up or down with it. I didn't want to drag my line along the corner of the piece. So what I did is I just boomed up with it and I cabled up at the same speed, both ropes at the same speed. So this rope wouldn't rub on the corner of the piece. And then once we set it in place, then I just boomed down past the piece. So I ended up running the boom tip would have ended up out here. And that would have my auxiliary line hanging down the backside where I could then winch it up without rubbing it. That could have been prevented with a lot longer rigging. And, you know, my mistake. None of us are perfect. So hopefully that answered your question, Victor. Now I got to try to get caught up on a bunch of comments. D. McDonald, speaking of accidents, I've seen a couple where there was ground failure. How do you determine the stability of the ground soil when you analyze the lift? Now, I can pretty well tell when I drive the crane in what the ground's going to be like. If it's sinking on tires, we're in some pretty soft stuff. You can actually, I mean, it's in the crane study guide. There is actually a PSI rating for different types of soil. I'm not a geologist, so I don't get that in depth with it. I have shoved like a screwdriver in the ground, and you can kind of feel by shoving, or a hammer handle. You can actually use your heel and try to dent the ground, and you can kind of get an idea. And really, the crane is big and it's got a lot of weight on it. But when you start spreading that weight out over the size of the mats that we've got, the ground PSI is actually fairly low. Most of the time, it's lower than the ground pressure of a case skid loader. So back from my equipment rental days back in the day, I know that an 1845 case, which weighs about 6,500 pounds, it has 12 16.5 tires on it. By the time you figure the contact patch of the tire on the ground, it generates about 32 to 38 PSI. Most of the time, we're under that with that big crane. So hopefully that answers your question loosely, David, but we'll see. Big Joe's Burger says, how do you calculate load factor when a crane is set up on a barge? I don't do any on barge work. I would have to get my book out to answer that for you. There is calculations out there for it. I don't have it memorized. I wish I could just spit everything out that you guys ask, but I know a lot, but I don't know all of it. Mitzvah Golem says GPR ground penetrating radar scan underground has to be done in New York City. And that's probably not a bad habit. I mean, New York City is just riddled with tunnels and manholes and you name it. And so I could definitely see that being needed. And really, with ground penetrating radar technology being what it is, I think the crane manufacturers could actually start offering that as maybe an option when you buy a crane. That there's no reason why it couldn't come with a kit that has its own GPR system where you could wheel it out over where you're going to put your outriggers and double check things before you set up. And that's probably not far off. So let's see. Victor said, "Did you drift on purpose or just bad alignment driving in the rain?" Victor, I drifted the whole. My wife used to have a 2012 BMW 750i X Drive, and I drove it like we didn't have to pay for it. If that makes any sense, drifting on dry pavement, an all-wheel drive twin turbo BMW. I was pretty hard on that car, but it was fun. Let's see. Jason Helsey said, "I sent you a couple of pictures that are screenshots from his walk around video." Let's check this out. I haven't gotten them yet. Or if maybe you already sent them and I didn't see them. D. McDonald, I just assumed you had studied geology. No, sir. Josh Wellner says swamp mats are loved too. Swamp mats are loved too. You know what you're sitting on. Yeah, swamp mats suck because when you're on swamp mats, it's because the ground is soft. Nathaniel Lee, there is a small video of. Actually, I've got a video of our 4-ton Broderson when I pulled the axle out of it to replace the flow divider combiner valve in the front axle. So there's video of that one, and then there's a video. I think it's titled "Small Crane Fixing Big Crane" or something, where I was using one of our Brodersons to pull one of the counterweight cylinders off of our 100-ton Tadano. So there's a couple videos of the Brodies, but it's hard for me to record with a Broderson on a job site because typically you're inside of a plant with it, and the inside of plants, they do not like cameras in them because there's a lot of proprietary stuff that goes on in them, and it's hard enough for me to get footage on job sites that there's no way I'd get footage inside of a plant. I wouldn't even ask around here. Any of the plants around here, I wouldn't even ask. Let's see. Trying to. I know I've skipped over a bunch of comments, and for that I apologize. If there's something if I skipped over you, just throw it back at me again, and I'll try to catch it. Drew Bradley asked a good question. Is there certain species of wood required for cribbage when you're that heavy? Typically, you want oak timbers if you're cribbing up. It's got to be a hard wood, and typically you want. I would want oak. Our crane mats are a hybrid mat that are steel, and they're actually made with. Internally, there's. I think the company used several stacks of Luan plywood, so they're pretty tough mats. They're steel and Luan plywood. But if you're using cribbing, the stronger the wood, the better. They don't want you using pine or any softwoods for it. And what a lot of people don't understand on cribbing is, at least here in the States, bridging your cribbing is not permissible. It's not allowed. So I think it's kind of a standard in other parts of the world where they're okay with it, but here your cribbing has to be stacked tight together. There can't be any gaps in it. Oh, Jerry Woodward, ironwood is awesome. If I could get a hold of some ironwood cribbing, yeah, that stuff's heavy, but it's tough. Teak is another one that's pretty tough stuff. Josh Wellner says he's seen a 40-ton crane 6 feet in the air doing tree work. I've had cranes where I could walk underneath the front end. I'm 5'8", but I've had them cranked up offset enough where I could walk under the front tires. And that's a pain in the butt. I wouldn't want to be a crane operator out in the mountains. I guess I'm too lazy for that, but you got to carry a lumber yard worth of material with you to get level. D. McDonald says, not sure if there would be need, but can you change the tire pressure in the Tadano? Going down the road, it calls for 102 PSI. I suppose I could air down if I was in some soft ground and needed to. I haven't. I've got an air line on the crane that I can hook up to our service line for our air for the dolly to air up tires, but it takes a long time to air those big tires up. So I've never aired them down for anything. And then he asked, could you talk about cribbing up, raising the crane with something under the outriggers? So there's several different ways to do it. One of them is called three-legging, and that's pretty dangerous. It's really dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. They do it a lot of times with RTs. You can do it with an AT if you know what you're doing. But typically, to get them up that high, you'll stack lumber under your front outrigger pads, raise your outriggers up, and then put lumber under your front tires, and then set back down on top of that lumber, and then raise your outrigger jacks up, and then stuff more lumber in, raise the front end of the crane up, stuff more lumber under your front tires, and you can just keep walking it up that way. The three-legging, I've never done a video on it, and I'm never going to do a video on it because that's not something I would recommend people do. But you can set up on all four jacks, spin, and get your counterweight over one outrigger, one corner, boom up to about 75 degrees, and that will put enough weight on that back corner that you can raise the jack on one front corner. Or you can actually lean the whole carrier backwards. You can actually make it tip backwards onto that one outrigger jack, and it'll pick the opposite corner up off the ground, and then you can put cribbing under it. So, but the reason why three-legging is dangerous is you can tip yourself over if you're not careful. Mitzvah says, my bike just lost a tire off of Tadano on the highway, blew fender off. Cops impounded the rig. Drew Bradley, typically cribbing doesn't need to be certified. It just needs to be strong. So if you got a neighbor tearing down his barn that's got 16 by 16 by 40 foot oak beams, there's a lot of crane cribbing there if it's in good shape. Now, Mitzvah makes a good point. He says big mats are engineered OSHA certified for big crawlers. But there's a lot of crane companies out there that would buy those oak beams for cribbing. Smedco, exactly. He says three-legging is not manufacturer endorsed. That's a fact. Three-legging happens a lot on wind farms with RTs. Because a lot of times you're set up in a field or whatever, and it does happen a lot with RTs on a wind farm, but I will never show a video on here on how to do it. Mike Manfred, how are you doing? Senseless fabrication, that's going to be one expensive impound and tow. Yeah, that's towing a big crane, that's something. So how are you doing, Senseless Fabrication? Says good afternoon, Jimmy. Mitzvah going 3-legged rush is normal. Smedco, 3-legging happens with ATs a ton too. Was that out loud? It does happen. That can neither confirm nor deny. So Alex Williamson's Blind Adventures asks, how would you even tow something like that? You can tow them with a hard tow bar. You tow them flat. Typically, you have to disconnect a drive line, and you can tow them flat. It takes a pretty good-sized wrecker to tow a big AT down the highway. Ooh, Senseless Fabrication says not good living in the hospital. Hope everything is okay and hope you get out of the hospital soon. Victor, so 3-legging sounds like some hardcore extreme BMX popping wheelies doing backflips. You have to repeat that process for every side and as many times as you get all your cribbing. You do have to repeat the process. Typically, you'll get... Generally, the way it works is, well, back to art class. We'll use the big eraser again. Oh, big marker this time. So you'll have a hill like this, and that's a little bit extreme. I would say that's a lot extreme. So if you're sitting like that, typically, let me see if is it all in frame? Hopefully. So what they would do is probably have 2 outriggers downhill and then just boom this thing up as far as you can get it and transfer all the weight onto one corner and put mats under that corner and then turn a little bit, transfer the weight to the other rear corner, put mats under this one, and then just work it back and forth. So, but it is a process sometimes. Or if you just got one corner that you need some extra mats under, they would just do it under one corner. But Jason Heltsey says, I'm going to jump off here. Jimmy, hopefully you'll get those pictures in your email soon. You may get them twice. Hope everyone has a good night. Thanks for tuning in, Jason. Hope you all stay safe and well down there. And I will look for the pictures. Mitzvah Golem says he was made to drive the police impound after a new tire. Josh Wellner, sometimes you have to do what you just have to do what you just have to do. Drew Bradley says the heaviest I ever towed was a cement pumper. I don't know who could tow an AT crane. It just depends on the crane. Our little 100-ton, it only weighs about 118,000, I think. So you could probably tow it with a 40-ton rotator. Yeah, Smedco makes a good point. He says they're rather clever with the ATs. They have an emergency ground-driven power steering pump. Got to get all 10 tires pointing in the right direction somehow. Yeah, we don't have a tow bar at all for our crane, so if it ever breaks down, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't fix it on the side of the road, I guess. Shane Davis says, when has the rotation of the rope concerned me? I've got rotation resistant rope on our crane, so it doesn't. I've never had a rope wind up on me. Victor says no kind of bottle jack you can use alongside outriggers. Technically, you're not supposed to jack up underneath the outrigger beams. Oh, mitzvahs, we had a carrier full counterweight, 180,000 gross vehicle weight. That'd be pretty heavy. Matt Smith used to drive a coil truck that was 325,000. They towed it up a hill with two back to back. That is a load. Yeah, 325. That's doing something there. Did you ever twist off any drive shafts or axles? I mean, I've seen people twist off axles just on a hill with 40,000. D. McDonald says, you ever have to shift the rope on the drum to keep the wear even? I do not. It just winds itself up. And the way that rope lays in, the drum on the winch is actually grooved for the rope to fit into it. And so it guides the rope as you're putting the first layer on. And then the rope stacks in on top of itself. As long as it stays nice and tight and pretty, then you typically don't have to worry about your rope too much other than cleaning it, lubricating it, and not damaging it. I wish I had my camera at work with me the other day because we got to put new rope on one of our 50-ton Manitexes. And I would have liked to have recorded that, but I didn't have my camera with me. So missed out on an opportunity there. But we put 477 feet of 5/8 on it. Senseless fabrication. My digestive system failed and stopped working. Right now I have lost 107. I'm 6'6" and I weigh 103 now. It's starting to snowball, causing my organs to try and take the load. Oh. Well, everybody keep senseless fabrication in your thoughts and prayers, because hopefully they've got a solution for that. I mean, Matt Schmitz, we had to break away bolts on special adapters so we could save the drive shaft. Bolts from 120 a box and 5 boxes sometimes when going up a hill. Wow. D. McDonald, yeah, definitely seeing a rope changer maintenance would be great if you get a chance. I will see what we got coming up. I know I'm going to be doing some painting, but that's pretty boring. Just watching a guy shoot paint out of a paint gun. I am really kicking myself for not getting that rope change recorded. And I'm not kicking myself so much that I'm going to go out and tear up rope just so we can do that. But next time we do any major maintenance, I will definitely record it. Gary Johnson says, sorry, I've had a very bad stroke for the last 6 months. I'm sorry I not get a hold of you. Hey, you don't need to apologize to me, Gary. You just need to work on getting yourself better. I'm just glad to see you on here. You haven't been on in a while, and I was kind of wondering. I was thinking about sending you an email, but I figure if you guys wanted to get a hold of me, you would. But you just worry about taking care of yourself. Josh Wellner, backfeed a drum with weight. You want to talk about a spider? Yeah, we had a little bit of that last week. That's why we put new rope on the 50-ton Manitex. Allegedly, high speed with 4 parts of line will bird's nest a drum. Who would have known? Well, Gary Johnson and Senseless Fabrication, you guys are definitely in my thoughts and prayers. I hope you guys get well soon. D. McDonald, I've watched paint dry. So have I. I've actually got paint on my hands from our kitchen. Smedco, get the rope from Tadano with the button already on it. We had to put rope on our 50-ton Manatech, so it doesn't have a button. It's just got a traditional Beckett on it. We ordered it from, where did we order that from? I don't remember where we ordered it from. It came from Houston, I think, and it's 5/8 rotation resistant, galvanized. I think we paid a couple extra dollars a foot to have that galvanized rope, but we're gonna try it and see how long it lasts. Victor, you do a professional car paint job. I wouldn't say professional. I can put paint on. I can get it. I mean, I can get it smooth as long as the prep works good. I can lay down a pretty good paint job, but I am no professional painter. And Mike Manford says we use a pickup and neutral when we install new rope on our digger derricks and slowly wind it up and make sure it winds up nice on the drum. We the way we do it on our smaller cranes is we wind it up, and I sit up there and babysit it when it's being wound up. I have some people holding some tension on it, and then once we get the drum loaded, we'll hang a weight that's near line pull and run it all off except for 3 to 5 wraps, and then wind it all back up. And that typically gets it pretty tight. Drew Bradley, I have never seen fiber core rope on a crane, but it's not to say that it doesn't happen. I'm sure some of the older rigs probably had fiber core on them. Smedco galvanized crane rope, that's different. Yeah, it's 5/8 rotation resistant galvanized, and it's pretty neat stuff. We're thinking that maybe it will be a little less. I can't say less maintenance because it's not like regular wire rope's a lot of maintenance, but it looks neat. Nathaniel Lee says, check Facebook, Jimmy. Checking Facebook. Oh, Nathaniel Lee liked To the Top Crane. Thanks for that. That's another one I don't check a lot. Oh, I got 2 messages on there. Got one from Thursday that I need to respond to. Victor says Holloway Houston Rigging Company. I'm not sure. It may have came from there. D. McDonald, what's a spool of new cable weigh? I think that roll that we just put on our 50-ton, I want to say it was right around 400 pounds. Maybe 3 something. Senseless Fabrication says, thank you, Jimmy. I just keep pushing as much as I would like to give up, but I can't do that to my mom or my 2 little boys. Hang in there and keep fighting. That's all you can do is just keep on keeping on. Josh Wellner, for commercial fishing boat, we would run the wire up the road and then haul it on the drum. Yeah, we're a little more particular than that. We don't like a bunch of dirt and stuff in the rope. Oh, D. McDonald. Oh, yeah. Happy belated birthday. Thanks for that, D. McDonald. For those that don't know, I ticked off another year, July 5th. So there's that. Hit the old 43. Drew Bradley says I have synthetic winch cable on my rock crawler 20,000. Yes, it's amazing stuff. And I've seen the synthetic crane rope, but I haven't been around it enough to have an opinion of it. So Nathaniel Lee asks, how long are you going? How long am I live streaming tonight? Is that what you're asking? If so, I'll probably be on another half hour or so. Katra, our Manitex has 477 feet on it. The Tadano 180G, or our 200 ton, the one you see in the videos, it's got 1,100 feet on the main and 800 on the auxiliary. Senseless Fabrication says, Jimmy, they had some new cable at Con Expo. It was half the weight, but twice as strong as normal cable. That was probably synthetic, made with Dyneema. And it, Dyneema's tough stuff. But just like Mitzvah Golem says, synthetic rope melts welder spark sharp edges on steel. No thanks. And I don't know. I'm pretty fond of the steel wire rope. Smedco, to get the pictures of the counterweights. Let's have a look-see. Those do look good. I may just have to do that. Yeah, that's Tadano Gray on the counterweight set. Right there. That doesn't look bad. At least it breaks up a lot of the white. Jason Hiltzley's pictures just came through. Looks like Ron picked him up a Landau. Let's see. D. McDonald says I'm young. I did get the pictures of the counterweights, Medco. Those look good. Thanks for that, Drew Bradley. Nathaniel Lee says I have to go see you guys. Thanks for stopping in, Nathaniel Lee. Andy B., how are you doing? Alex Williamson's Blind Adventure is going to hop off for now, but it's nice chatting with us. Thanks for popping in, Alex. Katra says, do you know how they calculate that max tip height with 3 parts of line? No, it's on our Manitex, it's based on number of wraps around the drum. We can, as each layer you add, you start losing capacity on your winch. So we could have put more than 477 feet on it, but that would have put us, I think, at 5 wraps, and that would have dropped us below our rated line pull. So we backed it off and put 477 on it. That way it would stay within the number of wraps on the drum. Oh, Mike said Ron got a Trail-Ease trailer, made a few videos already with it. I get to paint a Trail-Ease trailer next week. Senseless Fabrication said they lifted a D9 Cat with it. I'm not going to lie. I was just a little worried about it because it wasn't planned to do anything but sit and show at the Con Expo. I don't have anything against that synthetic crane rope. I just haven't used any of it. I'm sure it's tougher than woodpecker lips as far as strength, but I wonder how it wraps on the drum. I would think that it would want to try to pull down inside of itself, but it may be woven tight enough that it won't. But the only experience I have with any synthetic rope is I used to be a mechanic at an electrical contractor's facility, and they had synthetic rope on their digger derricks. But that stuff was pretty soft. I mean, you could pull it down inside of itself if you weren't careful. That or they just didn't have it wound up very tight. Mitzvah Golem says Grove Manitowoc approved Samson rope. Drew Bradley says it wraps messy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure at some point I'll get to experience it. One thing I do have, and for all the Tadano people out there, don't hate on me, but a friend of mine owns a crane rental company just south of us, and he has a 200-ton Liebherr, and it's a brand new one. And he had that on a job, and I recorded some footage of it. So there will be some Liebherr footage on the channel at some point. But I'm still partial to Tadano. So, but it'll give you guys an opportunity to see some of the new technology. So that Liebherr has anyway. My toe, I guess it's Michigan Toe Boy, says hello from Michigan. A hello from Missouri. Matt Schmitz just messaged me a pic of the reel I used to drive. Let's see what we got. Trady Glam's out on her next job. I'll try to download this picture and see if I can show you guys. So she's sending me pictures in real time of while she's out working. Where did that go? It's going to be a tough one to see because the glare on the windshield. So hopefully you guys can see some of that with the boom over the front. I'm not even sure what she's picking. Looks like trusses, maybe. Oh, come on. Mitzvah Golem Liebherr. Lots of dollar signs when broken. That's a fact. Smedco, yes, brand new Silicon 2 with that little remote. It is that. And he actually had an issue with it on that job site that day that I was recording. And it was actually quite a while back that I recorded that. It was cold outside. I just haven't edited it and put it up yet. But he got it in a configuration that the crane wasn't happy with, so it basically locked him out with all sections extended and all of his jib inserts in. And he couldn't retract, couldn't extend, couldn't do anything. And it was a little hairy because it was supposed to get windier as the day went on. We were supposed to have wind gusts of like 28 or 29 miles an hour, and there he was stuck with his boom stuck out. And he finally got a hold of somebody. It was on a Saturday. He finally got a hold of somebody at Liebherr, and they walked him through how to get it retracted and back into a configuration that it was happy with. But I was actually surprised that the crane let itself get put into a configuration that it would lock itself out in. That kind of shocked me. But funny things happen. I guess they can't write a program for absolutely every scenario, even though they try. But it was weird. He had I think he had one counterweight on it, and he had all of his jib, which is 120 some feet of jib maybe. And he entered in the code for it and extended it all out. And as soon as he extended it all out, the computer said, but it already pinned it. And yeah, it was pretty hairy. I knew he had a pinning issue, and he also had a boom truck on site because the Liebherrs, you have to have an assist crane when you're putting the jib inserts in. And so he had one of his boom trucks on site, and we were actually getting ready to go up in a man basket and pull the covers off of the boom pins on the side of the base section of boom just to see what the pins were doing, to see if maybe they were hung up or something. But it was just the computer wouldn't allow it to come out of that configuration. Mitzvah Golem says they fly in text from Germany. My friends have a 300 and 400 ton Liebherr. Mitzvah Golem, I stay with Grove. And I'll stay with Tadano. If I had to go spend my own money today, I'd buy a Tadano. Senseless Fabrication says, Jimmy, as long as you can keep sharing whatever you are operating or checking out is great for me. Senseless Fabrication says, tell that story again, Jimmy. Which story? Smedco, if your Liebherr is broken and the tech that shows up speaks English instead of German as his first language, you're in trouble. Vince Williams says, watch the communication cable inside the boom, jams and breaks, locks the machine. Senseless Fabrication says, remember, Jimmy, everything is as good as a human instead set up on computers. Blue Line Landworks, how are you doing? Smedco, dang, hand plus wrench mode wouldn't get her back to normal. He had to open up something on the back of the cab and start fiddling around with some things in the back of the cab. I kind of left him alone. He was on the phone a lot with some Liebherr people, and I told him, I said, hey, I'll be there. If you need me to help you with something, I will help with whatever I can help with. I said, but you're operating a machine I know nothing about. And so I was kind of useless to him, other than he's like, hey, you've got more experience in these big cranes than I do. Can you climb up here and look at it? And as soon as I looked at it, I'm like, dude, your boom pins aren't unlocking. For some reason, your computer has you locked out. And so he had to dig into the back side of the cab and do something to get it to unlock. Mitzvah Golem, I stick with the Cummins in America. Yeah, the Grove ATs are built in Germany, though. Oh, Senseless, the lockout one you were just talking about. That it was a friend of mine's 200-ton Liebherr that he entered in the code and everything for a certain boom configuration. Once he got it all ran out, the crane locked him up and it wouldn't allow him to retract or extend or anything. And it was going to get windy. So it was a little bit of a panic there for a little while. Mitzvah Golem says Mercedes motors, transmissions disaster also. We've had good luck with our Mercedes. Knock on wood. That friend of mine's Liebherr, it's got one engine. He doesn't have an engine up top. His whole crane operates off the one engine in the lower. So when he puts it into crane mode, it's got a drive line that comes out the back and goes into a 90-degree gearbox and comes up through the center of the turntable, and that runs all of his pumps for the upper. And I'm not a fan of that configuration for two reasons. One is that big engine burns a lot more fuel than a small four-cylinder does. Two, you're putting a lot of hours on a bigger engine that has a more expensive rebuild. And then the third is on our Tadano, if something happens to the engine in the upper, I can couple the hydraulic system from the lower to the upper and use the hydraulic system for the carrier to retract the boom and stow it if I need to. Where if you only have one engine, if you're stuck with 340 some feet of tip height, and for some reason your engine decides that it doesn't want to do its thing, then you're just stuck. So there's that. Let's see. Blue Line says it's been a very busy summer and I finally got here. It's been busy for us too, busy and hot. It has been ridiculously hot. Smidco, dang, that's X not mode involved stuff there. Shift motor costs $12,000 on a Liebherr, tiny 12-volt DC. That's crazy. David Rigoni asked a good question. In a thunderstorm, you boom down quickly. What's the difference with a crawler crane on a storm? A lot of times, crawler cranes, they're just kind of stuck there. But the bigger crawlers, if they got a lot of boom in them, they've got special procedures for laying them down. So it's not like you can just lay that thing out flat and get it out of the weather. But with a hydro, you can retract and lower, or if you got enough counterweight on and you have a storm sneak up on you, if you got the room to do it, you can just lay them down. Senseless ass, was he under load? He didn't have a load on the hook. He just got it ran out, and as soon as that final section pinned, that's when the computer's like, I don't like what you just did, and I'm not going to let you do anything else. Yeah, Smedco says that is one of the newer ones, the single engine concept. It's different, for sure. I wonder, someone's raising some heck there, and Mike Manfred is on them. Let's see what that says. Oh, yeah, it's someone just being foolish. Thanks for taking care of that, Mike. Mitzvah said Grove had one engine through gearbox in the 70s. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the single engine concepts, just for those reasons that I listed. D. McDonald says, not for lightning, but do you ever need to ground the crane? Yes, there are times we ground the crane. If we're working in a substation or near some, like in the vicinity of some high tension power lines and stuff like that, we ground the crane for sure. And if we're working around certain towers that have microwave, then we will stick a ground rod in and connect to it. Census Fabrication says Las Vegas Paving out here in Vegas is looking for crane operators with experience starting at $100 an hour. If it's a tower crane, I'm out. Smedco says Liebherrs have a procedure to lower up to a certain wind speed. After that, you're just supposed to leave it according to the book. Oh, Trading Glam says, hey, you're still here. I just finished the next house. Home time. Mike Manfred, all stupid. Yeah, it was all stupid comments, I'm guessing. But thanks for taking care of it. Josh Wellner, I'm almost out. I've hauled back a net too many times this weekend by hand. Free bait ain't free. Well, Josh Wellner, if you need to jump off of here, buddy, I appreciate you following along and being part of all of it. Mitzvah Golem, I only had tiny 4-cylinder Mercedes upper, no service tech side scanner anywhere. Smedco says AM radio plays hell on Tadano ATs too. I wasn't aware of that. Knock on wood, our 180G has been almost flawless. Had a few little things here and there, but nothing that any other crane wouldn't experience. Yeah, Senseless Fabrication says it's been way too hot lately. It's been hot here too. I think the heat index here yesterday was about 109. Anytime we get travelers in the area, they're like, hey, what's the weather like here? I always tell them we get Minnesota winters and Texas summers, because we really do get Minnesota winters and Texas summers. I'm starting to think that maybe I need to start looking for a winter home down south somewhere. Kind of getting to that age, 43. I got another 17, 18 years before I hang things up or maybe retire my work boots. So maybe I ought to start investing in a piece of ground somewhere where it doesn't snow. Andy B, it's 68 here, but 94 outside. That's the way I am. It's actually kind of cold in my basement. But Senseless Fabrication said their low temp last night was 95 degrees. Huh. Oh, Mike or Trading Lamb says it's not hot. Come here. I guess it's well, in Australia they're going into wintertime. Oh, Smedco said our 220G was showing random numbers for jib angle and wind speed with no wind meter fitted. Our 90-ton G tore its boom apart because the cylinder length reel went crazy. Was that all from an AM tower? Senseless says Vegas is great for winter. That might be an option. But both of my brothers live in Texas, so Texas might be an option too for a winter home. See if we got any other emails. Yeah, I don't know who this person is that keeps throwing some crazy messages in there that Mike Manfred's having to have his way with. But Mike, if you need to get them gone, then get them gone. Oh, actually, you already did. Michael Baxley says, love watching your videos. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for watching them, and I'll try to get more of them out there. Smedco had two top crane was from a bunch of them just outside New York City. So those AM towers jacked those cranes up like that. That's nuts. Oh, Senseless Fabrication asks a good question. How many hours and miles does the crane have on it now? I think we're pushing 3,800 hours on the upper. I just looked at it the other day and I don't remember exactly. It's 3,800 to 4,000 hours on the upper, and I'm not sure about miles. I have to look on the carrier when I'm back in it. John Warren said, you hear about the crane that flipped over in Iowa City, Iowa back in June? Was that the one on the wind farm that went over? The crawler ran off in some soft ground and took a nap on its side? Trading Lamb says 20 days in the middle of winter. So Australia's going to be in the middle of winter. Mike Manfred, 2 strikes and you're out. Mitzvah Tadano makes a fantastic RT now. I mean, I love the Tadano RTs. They're great machines. D. McDonald, the Tadano is a 2013. Michael Owen, greetings from Missouri. Says, yeah, I'm late to the party. Better late than never. Oh, I don't know that I saw that one, John. Oh, Smedco says attaching the Attaching the ground cable from the frame to a fire hydrant looked like striking an arc on a stick welder. Oh, crap. That would be no good. I couldn't imagine just randomly walking up to it to climb up on it, what that must have felt like. It landed on the interstate. That's no good. I'd say, John, I'd say Josh Wellner's good with that comment. I'll let Josh pretty much say whatever he wants at this point. Josh has been on the channel for a long time. I don't know how to unhide that comment, though. URL Tower says AM signal will make a mess of most electronic stuff in the field. Can run around them with a fluorescent light bulb at night for a flashlight. I guess I've never been that close to an AM tower that I had any concern with it, but it sounds like that's a self-critiquing experience. You know, you do it one time and you never forget it. Yeah, that just blows my mind, though, that it would jack up the reel inside the boom. Well, I would like to say I'm going to have videos out on a specific date, but we've all learned that I'm not very good at that. So I don't know what we got coming up. I know I've got the video when we were doing the job right in the middle of a city street where we had to block the street, and it was a pretty critical placement as far as where we set the crane up. I've got that one almost edited. Andy B says, "What's your last big job, Jimmy?" I did a bridge job Friday that we set 6 panels with the 200 ton, and then I had to stretch out to 117-foot radius and pick my end of some panels. They had a 75 ton or an 85 ton RT or something on the other end, and he couldn't handle the panels completely by himself, so I had to reach out 117 feet. I had 129 feet of boom, so I'll show you what that looks like. I was boomed down to a 15.3 degree boom angle, but it's not one I could record on, so we didn't get any footage, but I got a picture. So yeah, it won't focus on it very well right there. But that was Friday. Mike Manfred, hammer update. The update on the hammers, I haven't updated the hammer any lately. I've been kind of chasing my own tail. Too many irons in the fire. I'm gradually getting them pulled out of there, but so the Senseless Fabrication, did you want to show your email address on there, I guess? Yeah, Senseless Fabrication says family and work come first, then YouTube. Jimmy, don't apologize for anything. I just didn't want you guys to think I was forgetting about all of you. Drew Bradley says about 15 plus years ago, one of my drivers burned a wrecker flatbed down off a 220 line from a house to a garage. Oh, there. I'll jot down your email address. So I think I got it there. Oh, John Warren, that put you at your limits. Andy B, the hammer sounds like a winter project. Yeah, it's like I was saying in the beginning of the video. If you guys weren't tuned in the very beginning, my basement flooded twice. My dishwasher started leaking after I replaced our refrigerator because the ice maker wasn't working. So 2 days later, the dishwasher started leaking. The drawback to that is in my kitchen, I have hardwood floors. So now I've got a section of hardwood floor that it kind of warped it a little bit. I'm hoping that once the moisture comes out of it, it'll lay back down flat, but we'll see. If not, then I guess I'll get to redo hardwood floors. Been trying to build a fence around my yard so I can tear my pool out, but the heat has kind of derailed that. So yeah, it just seems like it's one thing after another. Oh, and our shower, my wife wanted to change the color of grout in our shower, so she got some grout color stuff, and it wasn't working very well at the bottom. So I went in to investigate, and the people we bought the house from had caulked the bottom few rows of tile with caulking that matched the grout. So I didn't realize it was caulking. Well, the grout stain wouldn't change the color of the caulking. So I started pulling that out, and tile started falling off the wall in the shower. So then I dig the tile out, find out the concrete backer or the backer board was bad. So then I cut the backer board out and had to replace it with concrete backer board, all because we wanted to change the color of the grout. So now my wife is permanently banned from Pinterest. And if I ever catch her on Pinterest on her phone will be the first thing the hammer smashes when it's done. So there's that. But yeah, it has been a little chaotic. David Rigoni, weren't you going to use the hammer for home renovation? We just might. We might use the old hammer to take the shower out. Instead of the skylight, we'll just go straight for the shower. But yeah. And actually, the hammer right now, it's at about 850 pounds. I could do some serious damage with it if I dropped it on stuff. And if she gets on Pinterest again, we're going to give it a test run at 850 pounds. She's got a Samsung Galaxy something or 9, I think. And we'll make it about this thick. Senseless Fabrication, I used to watch AVE a lot, and I haven't watched much of anybody lately. It's just been too chaotic. But Trady Glam, she's got some videos up. Tristram Mays, and it's spelled Tristam Mayes, I believe. He's got some pretty cool stuff. Yep, Mayes. So he's a crane operator over across the pond over in Europe, and he's got some pretty cool videos. Since it's fabrication, I'd pay to see that skylight happen. Yeah, since Ron Pratt's got a lot of rotator stuff. So there's a lot of cool channels out there. I'm sure everybody's heard of Mark Rober. He's only got like 14 million subscribers, but he does some pretty cool stuff. And the thing that Mark Rober does, he does a lot of science stuff and whatnot, but he only puts out one video a month, which I can't throw rocks at him. I haven't even put out a video in the last month, but his one video a month is a fantastic video. And then let's see, this old Tony, he's one that I used to watch all the time. He's got good content. My Mechanics, if you're into tool restoration stuff, that's a good channel. Hopefully I'm not rattling those off too fast. I'm just kind of popping them out there as they come into my head. But This Old Tony, I really liked watching This Old Tony, and I need to start watching him again because he does a lot of machining, welding, fabricating stuff, and he's very witty. And if you follow along on his videos, he makes some references that would go over younger people's heads. Yeah, he's good. Katra, that's another good one. Smarter Every Day. I kind of feel like these bigger channels should probably be doing some recommending a to the top crane, huh? That D McDonald A-bomb's good if you're into machining. So there's a plethora of content out there. It's just a matter of finding it. But with that being said, we've been going for a little over 2 hours. I've still got paint on my fingers, and I've still got, oh yeah, Mike Manfred for good laugh. Watch Logger Wade. He is wound tighter than an 8-day clock. I just talked to him on the phone a while back. I love old Logger Wade. He's such a good guy. So, Smedco says, seems like a good bit of work getting into creating content. I've kind of scared myself away from it. Here's the skinny on my content, though, that makes it more difficult. So if I had a different channel, like with different kind of content, say, I don't know, fishing, it would be pretty easy for me to take a camera out and just record some fishing and whatnot. When I'm recording crane content, I have to say I record 10 hours of video. I have to watch all 10 hours of that video while I'm editing it just to make sure that I don't have someone's company name in there that wouldn't want it. I don't have someone doing something completely off the rails in the video that would get a known government agency up their backside, so it takes a long time to edit. And really, if it's 8 hours of content, then I'm trying to take the highlights or the best parts of that 8 hours or what I think you guys would want to see and condense all of that into a 15 or 20 minute video. So it's really tough. We'll let that one in, Josh. I could see as a commercial fisherman, it would be tough to make videos. I'm talking about like if I was sitting on a farm pond doing this. So, previewing and constantly reviewing the footage as I'm editing a video is what makes it difficult. That video where we were cleaning up that wind turbine tower section, I had at least 14 hours in that video. And then the video where I put the crane in the riverbed, that's the last one that I had uploaded. That's gotten over 110,000 views. There was 20 some hours of editing involved in that video. So it gets pretty rough. So anyway, that being said, everybody keep Senseless Fabrication in your thoughts and prayers. Everybody keep Gary Johnson in your thoughts and prayers. These guys are going through some rough times, so they could definitely use it. I'm going to go back to finishing painting the kitchen because evidently when you replace a dishwasher and refrigerator, painting the kitchen is necessary. So there's that. Just one more thing in the list. It just never stops. So with that being said, everybody have a fantastic and safe week. Thanks for sticking around and being patient with me. We will try to get some footage up at this point. Who knows when? I'm going to say this week, hopefully sooner than later. But you all, thanks for tuning in. This channel would be nothing without all you guys. So with that, Andy B, keeping his thoughts, spine surgery, July 30th. Add Andy B to your guys' list of people to think about. So with that, To the Top Crane is out.